At the beginning of 2025, a consulting firm, let's call it Meridian Partners, completed what they called the most sophisticated AI deployment in the industry. They put teams of consultants on the project. Everything was custom built, perfectly tailored. They spent an entire year on development and $3 million. But 6 months later, the project was effectively dead. Now, you may be thinking, maybe it didn't work, wasn't reliable, or the AI hallucinated too much. But no, it worked perfectly. The problem was that aside from a handful of pilot users, no one was using it. Meridian Partners did a study on the project and discovered something strange. The more experts who worked on a feature, the less that feature seemed to be used. Right now, we're living through the fastest technology adoption in human history. In 2023, 55% of organizations were using AI. By 2025, 88%. That's a 33% jump in just 2 years. The AI agent market, these autonomous systems that can actually do things, not just answer questions, is projected to grow from $5 billion today to $47 billion by 2030. McKinsey, Gartner, Microsoft, Forrester, everyone agrees. We're at an inflection point. The agentic era is here. And yet, most AI projects never make it past pilot stage. I kept seeing this statistic referenced everywhere, but I wanted to understand why. So I started digging. McKinsey just published a massive report on what they call the Agentic AI Transformation. Here's what they said, and I want you to really hear this. The main challenge won't be technical, it will be human. Think about that. We have the technology, the models work, the platforms are mature. Microsoft has democratized AI development so completely that business users, not engineers, can now build their own AI agents. So if the technology isn't the problem, what is? To understand what's happening, we need to go back. Not to the beginning of AI, but to the beginning of a business model. In the 1960s and 70s, if you wanted a computer system, you hired IBM. They'd send a team of experts who'd spend months, sometimes years, building exactly what you needed. Custom hardware, custom software, custom everything. There were just 2 problems. First, you really couldn't change anything on your own. Need to change something? Call IBM. Something breaks? Call IBM. Want to add a feature? Call IBM. Second, the paying customers often wouldn't use the systems in the end. The CEOs of that era thought of the people using computers as clerks and secretaries. Senior executives wouldn't even have electrical outlets or data lines in their offices. Many of them couldn't type, because operating a keyboard would have been beneath their pay grade. The solution? The consultants would print the computer results on paper and carry them into the meetings. The consultants did all the work, and the CEOs believed they were using computers to run their companies, when in fact, the real work was being done by a technician in the basement. Fast forward to the 2000s, the cloud emerged, then software as a service, then low-code platforms. As the barriers to entry lowered and people became more tech-savvy, system integrators and consultants stayed essential by upskilling themselves and getting better at generating value for their customers. But the business model stayed mostly the same. Consultants would help clients do what they couldn't do themselves, deliver results, and build themselves into the business process along the way. Then, in 2023, this business model was thrown into disarray. You see, up until now, computer systems have been deterministic. If you do X, you get Y. If you write code a certain way, you get a certain result. But that's not how AI agents work. Instead, they interpret a context you supply them, determine what the desired outcome is, and predict what tools, or combinations of tools, would achieve it. And instead of writing code, developers are now supplying AI models with context. And context? Context is always changing. Your company launches a new product line. Your pricing strategy shifts. A competitor enters the market. Customer expectations evolve. Regulations change. The economy shifts. Every single one of these changes affects what good looks like for your AI agent. This means an AI agent isn't something you build once and deploy. It's something that needs to be continuously tuned, adjusted, and evolved by someone who understands the business context intimately. And here's the problem. That person is almost never the consultant who built it. Think about what happened at Meridian Partners. Their AI engineers were brilliant. They understood large language models, prompt engineering, retrieval systems, all of it. They built an agent that worked beautifully for the business context that existed in January. But by March, the client had restructured their sales territories. By April, they launched a new product tier. By June, their customer service policies had changed. The agent was still doing exactly what it was designed to do, but what it was designed to do was no longer what the business needed. The consultants were responsive, professional, skilled, but they weren't experts in their client's business context. So every time something needed to change, the consultants would have to sit down with the team, understand the process, tune the agent, and release a new update. And since they weren't the process experts, this cycle was long and costly. Weeks would pass between when a problem was noticed and when a fix was deployed. By then, something else had changed. The client was trapped in the pilot project. The agent worked, technically, but it never evolved fast enough to become essential. And here's what happened next. Other teams in the organization saw the pilot struggling. They had their own needs. They didn't want to wait. So marketing built their own agent with different consultants, different tools, different approaches. Then HR did the same. Then finance. Then operations. At the end, the client was left with what McKinsey calls the agent sprawl, which they describe as the uncontrolled proliferation of redundant, fragmented, and ungoverned agents across teams and functions. So you have two failure modes playing out simultaneously. The centrally built solution dies from neglect, trapped in an endless cycle of costly updates that never keep pace with the business. Meanwhile, everyone else builds their own, and you get chaos. This is the paradox of AI expertise. The more sophisticated your AI solution, the more context-dependent it becomes. And the more context-dependent it becomes, the more it needs an owner, someone embedded in the business who can tune it, adjust it, help it grow. This is why the features that experts built got used less. Not because the experts were bad at building, but because building is only the beginning. An AI agent without an owner is an AI agent waiting to die. The question isn't, should we build AI? The question is, how do we build AI in a way that creates capable owners while maintaining strategic coherence? This is where Microsoft Copilot changes everything. Think of it this way. Before Copilot, consultants would build everything from scratch. They had to build the infrastructure, the security layer, the user interface, the integration with existing systems. They had to figure out how to handle authentication, permissions, data access, and compliance. And then they have to maintain all of it and do it for every single agent that they build. When you build with Copilot, the building already exists. The foundation is there. The security is built in. The integration with Microsoft 365, with Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, all of it is already done. You're not constructing a building, you're designing the rooms. And more importantly, you're handing the keys to the people who actually live there. This means a business user, someone who understands the process, who lives in the context, can create and modify agents without writing a single line of code. When the sales territory changes, the sales manager updates the agent's instructions. It takes 5 minutes. When a new product launches, the product team adds context. No tickets, no waiting. When customer service policies evolve, the support lead adjusts the agent's behavior. Same day, same hour. The people who understand the business context are the people who control the agent. This solves the ownership problem. But what about the sprawl problem? Here's what's different. Every Copilot agent lives within your organization's existing security and compliance framework. IT has visibility into every agent. Permissions are inherited from Microsoft 365. Data governance policies apply automatically. When marketing builds an agent, IT can see it. When HR builds an agent, it's governed by the same policies. When finance builds an agent, it's on the same platform with the same audit trail, the same controls. You get the speed and autonomy of decentralized building without the chaos of ungoverned sprawl. One platform, many agents. Clear ownership, unified governance. So what does this mean for partners? At first glance, it might seem like a threat. If clients can build their own agents, what's left for consultants to do? But here's what the data actually shows. Partners who taught their clients to build, who enabled them instead of creating dependency, didn't see less business. They saw more. And the reason is simple. Once clients start building, they don't stop. They see opportunities everywhere, and very quickly they run into new challenges that require a different kind of expertise. Let me walk you through how this works. Stage 1, enablement. The partner teaches the client to build declarative agents. They run workshops. They train business users. They help teams identify their first use cases and build their first agents. At this stage, the client is learning. They're building simple agents, things like meeting prep assistants, document summarizers, FAQ bots for internal teams. The partner's role is education. And yes, this is lower margin than a big custom build, but it's also faster, stickier, and it leads somewhere. Because very quickly, the client starts asking new questions. Stage 2, agent architecture and ownership. At this stage, clients begin asking questions like, we've got 15 agents now. Some of them overlap, some of them contradict each other. How do we organize this? This is where partners help clients design an agent portfolio. Which agent should exist? Who owns each one? How do they interact? What are the boundaries? This isn't building agents, it's architecting an agent ecosystem. It requires strategic thinking, organizational design, governance frameworks, higher value, deeper engagement, and it leads to the next stage. Stage 3, data engineering. Here's what clients discover once they start building agents. The agents are only as good as the data they can access. Our sales agent is great, but it can't see our CRM data. Our support agent works, but it doesn't know our customer history. Our operations agent would be amazing if it could access our ERP system. Suddenly, the conversation shifts from how do we build agents to how do we build the data foundation that makes agents powerful. This is where partners bring serious technical expertise. Data pipelines, integration architecture, knowledge graphs, semantic layers. The client can build the agents, but they need partners to build the data infrastructure that feeds them. Stage 4, specialized tools and MCP servers. As agents mature, clients want them to do things, not just answer questions. We want our agent to update records in Salesforce. We want our agent to trigger workflows in ServiceNow. We want our agent to pull real-time pricing from our internal systems. This requires building specialized tools, APIs, connectors, MCP servers that extend what agents can do. This is deep technical work, custom development, security considerations, performance optimization. And it's work that clients genuinely cannot do themselves, not because they lack permission, but because it requires specialized engineering skills. The partner isn't building agents anymore. They're building the capabilities that agents use. Stage 5, governance and scale. At this point, the client has dozens, maybe hundreds of agents. They're embedded in business processes. They're making decisions. They're interacting with customers. And now the questions are, how do we monitor all of this? How do we ensure compliance? How do we measure ROI? How do we handle failures gracefully? How do we continuously improve? This is enterprise governance, observability platforms, analytics, risk management, change management. It's the highest value work, and it's work that never ends, because as the organization evolves, the governance needs evolve with it. You see what's happening here? The old model was partner builds a solution, client uses it, partner maintains it. The new model is partner enables the client builds and owns agents, partner moves up the value chain. Each stage leads to the next. Each engagement opens doors to deeper work. Instead of one large project that slowly dies, you get a growing relationship that expands as the client's capabilities expand. Instead of competing on who can build the most sophisticated custom agent, you compete on who can create the most capable, the most mature, the most scalable AI organizations. The industry is clear. Clients want partners who enable change at scale, not just deliver solutions. With how fast the technology is evolving, it's also the only model that actually works. Let me leave you with this. The consultants at Meridian Partners weren't wrong to be ambitious. They were wrong about where to focus that ambition. They spent a year building an agent that clients couldn't own. They could have spent that year building an organization that owns its agents, and then spent the next 5 years helping that organization scale, integrate, and govern. The first approach gave them one project and one failure. The second approach would have given them a partnership that grows every year. We're at a moment where the barriers to AI have dropped so low that business users can build their own agents. That's not a threat to the consulting industry, it's a transformation of it. The partners who thrive in the agentic era won't be the ones who build the most. They'll be the ones who enable the most. and then rise with their clients as those clients demand more sophisticated data, more powerful tools, more robust governance. That's the opportunity. The only question is, which side of it will you be on?